I did go through the whole thing of sending out these videos and being incredibly annoyed and frustrated that not everybody was watching it. I'm like, I put so much time into this and you're not watching it. So once I learned to let that go and I did more batch recordings and that kind of a thing, I have learned to accept that, like I said, half of your students are not going to watch it. And that's okay. So there's no real call to action. If they come back and they did the work, it's just a bonus. It's like, yay, cool. Now let's move on with the work that we need to do.
Hey there, I'm Rachel Ehring, and you're listening to the Top Music Piano Podcast. Get inspired as we discuss creative resources, trends in piano pedagogy, ways to grow your income and streamline your studio, and new ways to engage your students each week. If you are a teacher who wants to go beyond the method books to create an innovative studio that fosters lifelong music makers, you've come to the right place. Hello there, piano teachers. Thank you so much for being here today. If you are like most piano teachers, makeup lessons are a real pain in your you-know-what. If you say you aren't going to do makeups at all, what do you do if you get sick? Or like Jackie talks about, there being inclement weather for half the week, but not the other, or there's some other special circumstance that comes up. My guest, Jaclyn Mrozek, has come up with a creative solution that has been working well in her studio, and I'm so grateful that she was willing to come on the show and share it today so that we can all learn from it and possibly try it out in our own studios. Here's a little about Jackie. Jaclyn Mrozek is a piano teacher, studio owner, and host of the Scrappy Piano Teacher podcast. She supports independent music teachers with practical business resources, creative teaching materials, workshops, masterminds, and cohorts designed to help them solve studio problems and build sustainable teaching businesses. Here's my chat with Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Welcome to the show. I think you might be my first guest who has come back for a second time. So welcome back to the show. Can you introduce yourself in case there are people here who don't know you and tell us what you do?
Of course. So I am Jaclyn Mrozek, but I go by Jackie. And I am a piano teacher in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I have private lessons, partner lessons, and group lessons for my super little itty bitty wonderful people. And I also run the Scrappy Piano Teacher. And what that is a podcast. And I also have resources. So we have masterminds, cohorts, meetups, all kinds of fun things for teachers on the business end of things.
Great. So you are busy little piano teacher over there. About how big is your studio currently?
Right now I'm at 35. I would love, it is a lot. I would love to get down to 25, but it's a process.
So I invited you here today because you have a unique take on makeup lessons and what you call asynchronous lessons. So we're going to get into that. I know that makeup lessons are kind of a hot topic in the piano teacher world, as I'm sure you know. So tell me what you've discovered about makeup lessons and how you handle makeup requests in your studio.
Yeah, boy, makeup lessons, right?
I know.
Yeah, for sure. I know. Well, so this is my 28th year of teaching, and I feel like I've done all the makeup.
Did you start when you were 2?
I was 14. I was 14.
Okay. I mean, I didn't want to out you on your age.
Yes, everybody else can do the math, but no. So I'm 43. So I started lessons teaching when I was 14. I had a little hiatus while popping out a few kids, but anyway, I've done all these makeup lesson-y things. And I found for a larger studio, doing the no makeup lessons really it's just great for me. What I have done, though, to make myself feel a little bit better about this, and I think the parents love it too, is I work into makeup lessons into my even billing structure. So I have a 12-month even billing structure, and I can't remember exactly how many weeks I teach out of the year. But let's just say it's 46. So then I would take 2 weeks off. So it's like I'm billing for 44 lessons instead of the 46. And then if a student is super diligent and amazing and makes every lesson, it's like they get 2 lessons for free. And then what I do for myself, I actually build in flex weeks for myself. So it's almost like my own PTO. So I'll take off another week or 2. And then that way, if I get sick, or if I have a family emergency, or I just don't feel like teaching, well, I can take a week off and it doesn't affect the schedule. It doesn't affect tuition, finances, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so let me see if I'm understanding. So you have a few weeks of built-in vacation time, right? Like maybe you always take off 2 weeks at Christmas and whatever. And then in addition, they get two makeup lessons for free, or if they don't use them, they get two bonus lessons. Is that right? And then you have a couple more weeks that are flex weeks where you can cancel if you get sick or whatever happens. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I work it all in. Yeah, thank you for adding in the weeks for Christmas and all that. Because I take oodles of breaks. I love taking breaks. I think that the students like taking breaks. So yeah. So let's say that it's a 46 weeks of quote unquote teaching. Hold on.
Okay, got it. So now tell me about these asynchronous lessons, because this is a little different than makeup lessons, right? Tell me what they are and why teachers should know about them.
So asynchronous lessons, I think we tend to overcomplicate them. They're very simple. Really, an asynchronous lesson is any kind of lesson that's not live and in person. So it could be a pre-recorded lesson. It could even be a checklist of sorts. It could be a resource that you send to the student for that week. I look at them as the quote unquote, what now lessons. So I'll give you an example. All right, let's say that I teach Monday. We have fabulous lessons. They're just wonderful. And then Tuesday, another day of fabulous lessons. And then Wednesday morning, where I'm at here in Ohio, we get slammed with a horrible snowstorm. And so it's like, okay, well, what now? There's a couple of different things that we could do, right? I could just say, well, we don't have any makeup lessons. We're done. Just don't even worry about it, which I think is okay, in a policy like mine. You could take off if you do have a flex week, but that makes it kind of tricky, right? Because you've already taught Monday and Tuesday. And so now it's like, well, the question of flex, quote unquote, week. You could do online lessons, which I think a lot of teachers do. I prefer the asynchronous for a multitude of reasons. And I'm just going to use this example of snow. It's exciting when you get a snow day. Who wants to sit in and do an online lesson? Like, go build a snowman.
True.
And then for the teachers as well, like, I don't know. If you're not used to doing online lessons and it's not part of your routine, I'm just going to take a wild guess that you probably don't enjoy it. So for me, I love that because in that situation, it takes me maybe 20 minutes and I'm just emailing bada bing, bada boom. Okay, here's your asynchronous lessons for the day. Watch them when you can, apply them when you can, go and enjoy your day. And then I'm on the couch with my cats, and that's it.
Okay, let's dive into what these are. Is it a video lesson? Is it a video you're sending the students, or it could be different things?
It could be different things. And I've really experimented with these. So, and I think I have a podcast episode on asynchronous lessons where I'm just talking about doing individual videos per student, which I did. But I have to tell you, when you record a 5 to 10 minute asynchronous lesson, there's so many things going on in the background with uploading and sending it and all that it ends up taking just as much time, if not more, than the actual lesson itself. And I will say about 50% of your studio, they're going to watch this and some aren't going to watch it. So that's something to keep in mind because it's out of routine. This is like a last resort type thing. I wouldn't recommend this to be your makeup lesson strategy for the whole year by any means. This is your backup, right? What I do is a mix of things. I found for my younger students, my elementary students, I can bulk these. I can make a generalized lesson of something that maybe we don't get to very often. Composers, music history, composition, improv. I've even sent the A section of For Elise by rote because I'm like, there's your version of For Elise. Now we don't have to do it. It's like the rite of passage. Everybody wants to learn For Elise. So I can do it asynchronously and call it good. So I can send a generalized lesson to a bulk amount of students and call it good. And then for my older students, that might not work as well. I actually enjoy when they send me a video first. So I'll tell them, I'll say, you send me a video. Yeah. And then I will respond with feedback. And if they don't send me a video, well, okay, it is what it is. But then other times I've sent them videos where maybe we're doing technical skills, stuff on the circle of fifths. I've even gone through a checklist of their lesson notes where I just send an email and I'll just say, okay, you're working on this particular piece, and I'll write in red, this is what I want you to do now. I've even attached little YouTube videos of other creators who have some really great stuff that I think will contribute to what they're learning. Jana Williamson, I actually told her about this one. I was teaching a piece, Bergmuller. Sorry, I can't ever say that name right. Anyway, I was teaching, it's a rough one. And I just sent one of her videos, where she's teaching teachers how to teach it. Well, this girl's 17. So I'm like, watch the video and, whatever, take some tips from it. And it works.
Yeah. Nice. So you said not everyone will watch them, but what has the general response been to asynchronous lessons?
Good. I mean, I really don't offer them an option. I just kind of say, this is what we're doing. In the case of, and I have it in my policy, and it's just one sentence. I'm not going to over explain it. In the case of inclement weather or other unexpected events, students will be sent asynchronous lessons for the week. And then that's it.
And do you feel like parents understand what that is? Like, are they on board, or are they like, wait, what are we doing? Can I still have a makeup? Do you ever get those types of questions?
Well, I think fortunately, since I don't do makeups, I don't get asked that question, but I can see how other teachers would, and there would definitely need to be some form of an explanation. And, I'm meeting with a teacher in a few weeks, and she's got 2 weeks worth of snow weeks from this past winter. So here we are at the end of April, and she's trying to cram them into the end of her year. And she's like, I can't do this. And so she and I are meeting specifically about asynchronous lessons. And she told me, she's like, I feel like they are expecting that time with me. And I've told parents this. First of all, yeah, you need to explain what an asynchronous lesson is. And they're usually more than happy to do it because they're not having to take out extra time of their day. Their lives are crazy too. I know that we hate to admit this, but most of them, piano is not at the top of their list, right? As much as we wish that it was, it's not. So a lot of times they're more than happy about that. But something that I tell them is, I'm like, listen, if we're teaching online, what are we going to do most of the time? We're going to be figuring out the video. I'm going to say, oh, I can't hear you. I'm not hearing the piano. We're messing with settings. If they do come in for a makeup lesson, maybe we don't need it. Let's talk about the value versus the minute for minute in person that we're being offered here. And I think that when parents understand oh, look at this. This is great. We're getting to learn this. We get to do some different fun things that we don't normally get to do. Then the script is flipped. And sometimes, a lot of times, I will have those older students send me their videos first for me to offer them feedback. And that can be a great thing because now suddenly they're accountable and we're making sure that they're practicing, and I'll give them a time and a date too. I have one girl in particular where I'm like, okay, Friday by 5, this is your due date. And then I know her pretty well. And I know the mom, I've been teaching her for about 10 years, and I'll text her and be like, where's my video? Where's it at? So you can kind of, it depends on how well you know the student and how casual you are with them. But it's really individualized in that sense. Sorry, I think I went on a little bit of a tangent there, but I think I'm answering your question.
So have you built up a library of these videos that you can reuse, or are you usually making new videos every time you do this?
So I have been building a library as I've been going, and you do have to be intentional. If you are in an area where you know that this could be a possibility, where you're at, you might not need to worry about it as much as I do.
We don't really have inclement weather here.
Yeah. So here we do. We'll get all 4 seasons in a day sometimes. You just really don't know. So if you're in an area where you will get inclement weather, or maybe you're in a season of life where things might not go, maybe your parents are getting older or things might come up, it would be a good idea to batch these. And you know what I was thinking? this week, actually, with all these summer camps where, the summer camps galore are out right now. And I was thinking about it and I thought, oh, I could just take my summer camp and do some batch recordings of the lessons or what I would be doing in that. And there's some asynchronous lessons right there. There's really so many different opportunities for what you can do. And I can tell you about how I save. I don't know if you want to know how I save them and go about that kind of thing. But so again, you have to be intentional about this because you don't want it. You can do it the week of if something happens. I mean, but it's a lot nicer to have it on hand where you can just like spit it out in an email and you're good to go instead of spending all day on it. But I have found that the best way to do it is to always upload it on YouTube unlisted. That way you're not trying to send videos through Facebook, through email. They're just too big and they get too messy, but everybody watches YouTube. I would love to know the student that, says they can't access YouTube, unless of course the parent has parental things and then they need to get past that. My point is they can watch YouTube. And so I do everything unlisted on YouTube and I keep a file on Notion on a database. And if somebody doesn't use Notion, Google Sheets, Excel, whatever it is that you use that's easiest to access for you, you want to store them there. And then also have a folder if you have any specific resources that go with it. I don't try to send students materials that they need to print because a lot of them just don't print things at home. So I don't want to put that on them, but I might send them a digital copy of music. I might send them something that if they want to print it out, they can. So I'll have a separate folder for that and everything's connected so I can find it.
Nice. Okay. So do you ever require some kind of response? Like in your asynchronous lesson, do they ever have to send you something back, like a worksheet or a video or something? I know you said sometimes they send you a video first, but is there ever like a call to action, I guess?
Not really, because I look at these as, again, the what now. These aren't our typical, it is a last resort of sorts. And I did go through the whole thing of sending out these videos and being incredibly annoyed and frustrated that not everybody was watching it. I'm like, I put so much time into this and you're not watching it. So once I learned to let that go and I did more batch recordings and that kind of a thing, I have learned to accept that, like I said, half of your students are not going to watch it. And that's okay. So there's no real call to action. If they come back and they did the work, it's just a bonus. It's like, yay, cool. Now let's move on with the work that we need to do.
Are there any types of students that this model wouldn't work for? Do you ever have students where you're like, okay, I'm not going to do this for this particular student? Or are there enough different varied formats that you can figure it out?
That's a great question. I definitely think that there probably are students out there that this might not be ideal for. In my studio, I have all kinds of special needs and I have neurodivergent needs. So I have physical and then also the neurodivergent. We can go from blind to autistic, I have them all and I have not had a problem, but I have had to make them very individualized. Like I'm not going to send what I have bulk recorded for everyone to my sweet little girl who is blind. She gets her own set of instructions. But no, I think that when you know your studio and you know your people and you know how you like to work and teach, you can really cater it how you need to. It's going to be tricky at first. Everything's tricky when it's new, right? But after you've done it a couple of times, it's no big deal.
Okay. Can you just share, how do you record the videos? Just give us your kind of basic tech setup as far as, do you do landscape? I don't know. Just give us the kind of overview of your tech setup for recording the videos.
Well, there's a reason why I call myself the scrappy piano teacher. It's because I feel like half the time I'm just winging it, and it goes for tech. I don't do tech. I don't do all this fancy stuff.
But that's what teachers want to hear. They want the simple version. They don't want the complicated setup.
So I'm with you guys. Zoom is the safest thing to self-record on Zoom. I think most of us were forced to learn Zoom, you know, in the pandemic. And I know that it happened a longer time ago than it seems like it was yesterday. But anyway, most of us know Zoom, and you can share your screen. So if you have something that you want them to see, you can share the screen, you can mark it up, and you can make it super quick and super easy. So that's where I like to make my videos. And then, of course, you do have to download them, and then I upload them to an unlisted playlist on YouTube. And then I have my links. As I send them, I save them to a spreadsheet. So it sounds like a lot of steps, and it does seem like a lot of steps at first, but once you get into the groove, it's really no big deal. And then over time, if you are teaching something that you know that you teach all the time, right? Like maybe there's a piece of music that you're doing an asynchronous lesson for a student, and you know that you're going to teach that song. It's like a piano adventure song, and you're going to teach it 1,000 more times in your lifetime. Well, if you make that more of a generalized video and you're not being specific to that student, well, then there you go. You can just save that lesson. You may or may not use it in the future, but at least you have it. So Zoom, upload it to YouTube, and save it somewhere in a spreadsheet. And that's really all you got to do. I also, I use my music staff. I know some people use Fonz and all these other, there's all these great musical software out there. I always put the link in the asynchronous lessons in my music staff or whatever software is being used. So then there's record of it and they know where to find it. So I try not to do a separate email if I don't use that. I think teachers who do, then that would be fine. Yeah.
And does that help you keep track of what you've sent to who? Like who's already done what lessons or whatever?
Yeah, and I mark them off even in my, and I know that it just varies for everyone, but for me, I can mark the lesson as present. I mark them as present after I have sent the video. So that's kind of how I keep track, but I don't know, checklist.
Yeah.
Write it out.
I guess I was thinking like, once you have this library of videos, you don't want to accidentally send the same video to the student twice, like a year later or whatever.
Saying. Oh, that's good. That's a good point. Yeah, I guess you could. If you did have that, then maybe you can make a little note like sent in 2025.
I don't know.
That's a good, I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
That's good. That will to be continued.
Sure. Well, Jackie, I know that you have a lot of resources available for piano teachers, and I would love to give you a chance to talk about what's on your mind with some of those resources, what you're currently offering to piano teachers.
All that fun stuff. Well, since we're talking about asynchronous lessons, it's really funny when you messaged me about this because I was already putting together some kind of a meetup like workshop for asynchronous lessons because that seems to be on not everyone's mind, but I'm getting a lot of emails about asynchronous lessons and partner lessons. That's what I tend to get the most questions on. So I do plan on doing 2 different workshops, the same workshop, but 2 different dates for the asynchronous. But I'm also going to be putting together some packages. So they're pre-planned asynchronous lessons if you just want to like purchase them and then you have them and they're easy. And you can do it 1 or 2 ways. I'm going to make videos where if you don't want to make videos, you literally just want to grab it and then you have it for the future, then it's there. Or it's more of a guide to where like step by step to where you can just do it yourself if you want to cater to it. So I have that. And actually, I wanted to mention one more thing about asynchronous lessons, and I totally forgot. So something that I was already planning on doing, and then Jennifer Fox mentioned it in a meetup, and she's doing it too. And I was like, ooh, confirmation that this is good. So I feel like I should share it. But I decided last year that I hate May. And I'm not teaching in May anymore. Like it's just, we're done. And so we have our piano party the first week of May and then no lessons. And this is all taken into account in our lesson schedule. So technically speaking, I don't quote unquote owe my students anything for the month of May. However, I don't know how my parents feel. This is my first year doing this, right? So what I am doing is a little packet where we have some technical skills because we have an event in the fall. And then easy pieces, and then also a Note Rush, quote unquote, tournament that we'll be doing this summer. So I'm going to be putting together a little packet for them, and it's going to be individualized, and it's going to have mini videos that go with it, and it's optional. So it's something that they can do through the month of May if they feel like they need something. And then again, if they don't do it, I'm not mad. So it's there. And that is kind of an asynchronous form. That's not a makeup lesson per se, but it adds value to my studio that I can offer to them. Yeah. So, but as far as any other offerings to teachers, you can visit my website at scrappypianoteacher.com and go to resources. There's oodles of things. I have my little Coda books, which are their rote pieces and pre-reader. It follows Coda the dog, the story of Coda the dog. There's a summer camp, but then there's also a ton of business resources too for your policy, teacher philosophy. I have, it's recital time maybe. And so we have a recital reflection sheet. So there's all kinds of stuff.
Nice. Okay. So tell us all the places where we can find you, Jackie.
Oh, just put in Scrappy Piano Teacher.
So your website is...
Yeah, so scrappypianoteacher.com. If you get on the list, I try not to send out too many emails, but I do send out updates, freebies, that kind of thing. And then the Scrappy Piano Teacher podcast. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well, although this year I haven't been nearly as active, but if you message me, I'll message you back. So
nice. Okay. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for sharing today about asynchronous lessons. I think it's a great idea, and I think that it's not on a lot of teachers' radar. And so I think this is really helpful, and people will be excited to hear about it. So thank you for being here and sharing with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So what do you think? Are you going to try asynchronous lessons in your studio? I would love to hear your thoughts on this and if you think it's a feasible option for makeup lessons. I also want to let you know that the topic this month at Top Music is online teaching. So there are a number of additional resources inside the Top Music Pro membership related to online teaching. So if you're a member and maybe you haven't logged in a bit, make sure you head over there and see what's new. And if you aren't a member yet, consider this your sign to go to topmusic.co and check out all that you could be taking advantage of inside of the membership. All right, that's the end of the show for this week. I'm Rachel Ehring, and you've been listening to the Top Music Piano Podcast. I'll see you again next time.
How do you keep up to date with all the latest trends and research into music education? How do you connect with other teachers around the world and make sure your teaching stays fresh and relevant for students of all ages and stages both now and into the future? I created our Top Music Pro membership to be the one-stop shop for music teaching resources, training, support and community, and I'd love for you to come and join us inside. With over 40 comprehensive training courses, hundreds of teaching demonstrations and lesson plans, free monthly sheet music, discounts, and all the business and pedagogy support you could ever need, Top Music Pro is the community you've been looking for. If you're ready to level up your learning from the podcast and join thousands of other teachers in our global network, head over to topmusicpro.com today.